Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Sea of Love is a 1989 thriller film that was directed by Harold Becker. It was written by Richard Price, and it stars Al Pacino, Ellen Barkin, and John Goodman. The storyline goes that troubled New York City detective Frank Keller, played by Al Pacino, investigates a serial killer who finds his victims by using personal ads in a magazine, and he leaves the song Sea of Love playing at his crime scenes. With the help of his partner Sherman, played by John Goodman, Frank concocts a plan to find the killer using his own personal ads. But when Frank falls for one of the chief's suspects, a girl by the name of Helen, played by Ellen Barkin, he struggles to reconcile his personal life and his professional duty. The novelist Richard Price originally wrote the screenplay for Dustin Hoffman, but it went on to be that he wanted too many rewrites, so Al Pacino took over this role. This movie is often credited as the film that pulled Al Pacino out of the slump of failures that he had starred in through the 1980s. Diane Keaton, who he was living with at the time, convinced him to do the film. He was still hurting from the disaster of Revolution from 1985, and he really wasn't sure if he wanted to return to films or not. She convinced him that he wasn't on the A-list anymore, and people weren't beating their door down with movie offers for him, and that Sea of Love was what he was meant to do. At the same time, he was struggling, almost going broke, because he had tax problems, and he had financed a movie 4 years earlier where he ended up having to use a lot of his own money to do it. He finally agreed to do the film, and he made a triumphant return. Whether it is an intended thing or not, the first names of the lead characters are associated with who they really are. Frank, while a romantic, is a no-frills, straight-to-the-facts kind of guy. And as for Helen, the most well-known reference to the name is Helen of Troy, who was not only extremely attractive, but was the central focus of bloody war between two rivals for her hand, with one of the rivals being deceitful, stealthy, and having no limits. References to the sea pop up several times during the film. Besides the theme song, when Frank is in the bar after staying at Helen's, Bobby Darin's Beyond the Sea is playing in the background. It teases the audience because on one side, there is a suspicious item Frank finds that might make her a suspect, and on the other, the Darin song embraces sailing, making it romantic rather than threatening. In addition, several times the audience sees a sailboat in the window of the first victim, both from exterior shots and interiors. When Frank Keller is trying to convince his lieutenant to let him try the restaurant sting operation without wearing a wire, he says to him, "What is she going to do? Confess? Shoot me? We're in a restaurant." If you remember, Pacino famously played Michael Corleone in a scene where he shot a cop in a restaurant, which was also supposed to be very improbable. The scene where Al Pacino and John Goodman are undercover in the restaurant was filmed in the New York City restaurant O'Neill's, located at 49 West 64th Street in Manhattan, near Lincoln Center, and it was owned by actor Patrick O'Neill for many years. The restaurant closed in 1993, not long before O'Neill's death in 1994. The interiors and the soundstage set sequences for this New York City set movie were actually filmed in Toronto instead of the Big Apple. The exteriors were still shot in New York, with most of them being filmed in the city's Upper West Side. Now, there were quite a few scenes with Lorraine Bracco playing Pacino's ex-wife. These were filmed, but they were cut from the final product. In some of the releases of the movie nowadays, they have been restored, having her in the film. Included in the final cut of the movie is a scene where Al Pacino's character gets rudely bumped into on Fifth Avenue while trying to court Ellen Barkin's character. According to the director, this was an unscripted moment because this was a real New Yorker, not an extra. Pacino incorporates this moment into his performance and continues without missing a beat. There are 2 renditions of the 1950 song Sea of Love that you hear in the movie. This includes the original 1959 recording performed by Phil Phillips. And then there's the new 1980s end title version performed by Tom Waits. There's also a third, more haunting version with a solo sax. This appears in the background when Frank visits the murder scene at night. Pacino was nominated for his performance in the film as Best Performance by an Actor at the 1990 Golden Globe Awards, but he lost out to Tom Cruise for the movie Born on the 4th of July. Ellen Barkin has revealed an unusual secret behind her steamy love scene with Al Pacino in this film. The fact that the usually cocky, in-your-face actor became bashful as the cameras rolled. She says they never talked about the scene because he was very shy, and that the whole time she felt that he was very uncomfortable doing those types of scenes. At that time, she felt the same way, but she really doesn't feel like this film was her best work, and states that she thought that the director just didn't like her. But she does realize that this movie made her a household name. She also mentions that she was forced into doing the very arousing grocery store scene, where she caresses yellow peppers while wearing little under her raincoat. All of this to entice co-star Al Pacino. She says she fought with the director quite a bit over doing this scene, and that she didn't want to do it. She basically felt forced into it. But she really has trouble watching the movie nowadays. She feels like that what the audience sees is an attitude on her part, and it's really not that at all. She said that she was just tense on the set and during filming. It was the first role where she was cast as an object of desire, which felt very strange to her. Take a look back at this very fun movie to watch. I think you'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.